All right, welcome back, and this is still TV3 New Day. This is a special kind of the big issues that we're having today. I'm sure most of you were expecting your usual politicians for this time belt, but there's something big that's happening as well. I mean, politics is great, current affairs is great, but something that also gets everyone talking is the VGMAs, because we all love our music right here in Ghana. Well, it is time for that moment, and tomorrow officially, nominees for the 24th edition of the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards would be announced at a ceremony at the Grand Arena. But before that, we need to have a conversation around it and, of course, find out what your expectations are. We'll take a review of what happened last year and the years before, just to see what Charterhouse is doing a little differently. And you know that TV3 and Media General, we are the official media partners for the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards. And so it's necessary that we have this conversation. This morning, we have Robert Kla. He's the director for the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards and also the head for public events and communications. And he joins us. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well.
All right. Roberto, I know, right?
That's about.
Okay, Mini.
Ganyo.
That was last week.
Abba.
Ebe was
last week.
that's next week.
Abba.
Ebe is
That's
next
last
week.
of the month. Next week. That's next weekend.
Okay.
Already next week.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll be paid. Nice. So the next week.
What is important is that I'm saying, I'm using a local dialect. So
Okay.
So what you just said, say it in a local dialect.
Okay. So when I say Dasiba, I say nah.
Nah.
Dasiba.
nah,
Kaula.
nah. Well, see this one. I've add pito to when I said nah.
We have our pito here actually
Okay, so-
from Elimat. So
Yeah. So we have Element yogurt and juices.
Yes.
They are located in a hood I know very well. They are located in a hood I know very well, the Tama Enclave. So just in case you do the runabout from the motorway heading towards the Afienya area,
Right.
they have a place called Mataiko Afienya. So on that road, just close to MF Estates, they are there. After the show, I'm going.
you look like, I was just gonna say you look like you're going to pass by
Yes.
when you're going home.
Especially today is Friday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but maybe we should get served something. I see
Yes.
that there's a sana, there's bisab, there's
Millet,
millet, and there's
baobab.
baobab. Then we have polo and
Baobab
kati cake.
Okay,
And
so,
Sausage roll.
yeah, so no, that is
Sausage roll.
modernity
Very, very
spice
necessary.
food
How do you say
tradition.
sausage in maybe Dagbani or something?
Sausage.
Sausage roll.
Sausage. Anyway, joining us this morning as well, Mr. Francis Doku is the general manager for 3 Group, and he
Yes.
also joins us. Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Dasiba.
Nah.
Hey.
I came back from Tamale last week, so
Okay.
Oh, so you're
So
very
beyond
knowledgeable.
Dasiba, what did you also learn from Tamale?
Kawola.
Kaula.
Kaula.
Kaula, what does it mean? It's
How
a
are you?
greeting.
I think how are you?
Kaula.
Yeah.
So what do you say?
What do I have to say?
got-
I,
Oh,
didn't,
wait,
I didn't
wait.
respond.
but I think also we also have to say that he's been a long industry person as far as art, entertainment, culture, critique, and then
Yeah.
also making sure he watches the industry. It's
Tourism.
the whole media, tourism. Yeah.
Yes.
He's a
And
great,
And everything
great,
in between.
great guy.
He enjoyed. But quickly, let's just remind
Now
people,
into media
this will be the first
administration.
time that Media General is partnering the VGMAs. This would be what, the 3rd?
We started partnering in 2018, so this will be like the 5th.
The 5th.
Yes.
Okay. How has the relationship been so far?
It's been good. I think that our objective, as it were, has always been to latch on to the biggest content in the market. We've had different partnerships with different events, and VGMA is the biggest when it comes to entertainment events in Ghana. And so as the biggest channel, number 1 channel, we always want to partner, associate, and identify ourselves with the biggest. And VGMA has been worth the while. It gives you the biggest views, it gives you the biggest engagement when it's in session. So I think that the partnership has been good, and we want to continue to work with Charterhouse and the organizers of the Vodafone Ghana Music Award to continue to bring the best to our audience on our television, our radio, and on our digital platforms as well. So yeah, we're in it again this year.
Okay. Well, AJ, maybe you start the conversation.
Yes, so Robert, we're looking at, first and foremost, tonight doing the big announcement of the unsung nominees. We're doing that live on Showbiz 360 with Giovanni, and we're hoping to see some of the finest, newest talent get an opportunity to bid to be on that big stage come May. Now, do tell about the unsung and the journey so far has been.
Well, the unsung category this year actually is the 10th year. Is an activation that was co-opted into the VGMA to be able to offer artists that are not necessarily shining, or like artists that are not in mainstream, an opportunity to be able to feature on the main VGMA stage, because we know what the stage comes with. Opportunities, opportunity to perform there simply means huge mileage, and that really impacts everything about your career. The confidence it gives you psychologically, how it prepares you, projects you, what it means to your CV, and everything about it. And of course, if you're on a platform like TV3 and the whole world gets to see you, it's huge, all right? So that, but over the years, over the 10 years, we realized that it's not just the person that wins.
Yes.
It's been anybody that participates in this particular activity, you get projected. So the names that we have running the Ghana music industry at this moment, or contributing heavily, most of them have been part of it. So from Miss V, Kwame Eugene,
Yes.
Episode, the late Ebony of blessed memory, Dope Nation, Mr. Drew,
Kelvin Boy.
Adoma, yes.
Well,
I think Adoma was the
yes.
first winner.
Miss V was the first
Miss V
winner.
before Adoma. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And you know, the list goes on and on and on. So what we are doing is giving the platform to the next generation of music leaders, and we are identifying them now and offering them that particular support so they can get to that particular point. Because indeed, you can't just be focused on what's happening now. You have to also focus on the pipeline, because the cycle has to keep running. So yes, that's what it's about, and we are grateful and we are thankful for Close Up for always helping us to be able to project this. This particular year, the nominations, we've had the engagement on social media,
Yes.
and so far it's been amazing. The number of people that have come through, huge, and we've gone deeper into their profiles and to understand who they are, the kind of music they do, the texture of their voices, the music genre they represent, and you know, to understand their space and performances they have done. And we are ready to be able to share that information with the rest of Ghana tonight. So tonight, right here on the station again, it's going to be announced, and we will clearly have an opportunity to possibly even meet some of them.
But there are concerns, especially about the unsung. I mean, great platform to have people get the spotlight that they deserve. But there are industry players who think that beyond just performing on stage on the big night, there's really no plan for the unsung artists. And maybe that's the conversation that we should be having moving forward. I mean, for the year under review, if I should win the unsung category, aside going on that stage, is there a plan that shows that, okay, for every event that probably Charterhouse or the partners organize, I get to perform there as well? Is there a growth plan for me?
Okay, so growth plan has to be your responsibility, because we are not a record label, and in everything you do, you have to exercise something called scoping. You have to scope where you have to be clear. This is where my mantle ends, and any other person can continue. However, when you start a project, you start with the idea, and then when you continue, it gets to a point where if you are able to expand, obviously, you push it forward. Now, there's been years where, for example, in the case when Kelvin Boy won, our sponsor had a 5 or 6 city tour project for musicians. So what we did was he was put on all the platforms, from Tamale to Ho to Mutual to Cape Coast. Like, he went to all the places as a headline act. In addition to that, everybody that participated in and sang for that particular year got featured at some of these places because there was sponsorship that was available. So clearly we put them in there. Now, beyond that particular time, sponsorship went down. So what happened was we had to go back to our scoping parameters that we're working with. But obviously, it's never really ended there, because the interest has always been to expand. So once an opportunity comes up, we will jump at it. But this year, again, amazing interest being expressed by a platform like TV3 to be able to give more mileage to it. And so clearly there's going to be something extra from the quarters of TV3, and anybody who's going to be a part of this particular platform is going to benefit immensely in terms of what you are going to get from the values that we are talking about. Now, there are other benefits as well that are going to come through, because there are other partners we are talking to. So these details are going to be shared with them as we go on. And certainly, once the festival is over, the benefits that are associated with this, connected to what our partners are going to give, that's what's going to be given. But the most important thing is for the participants to always understand that their career really has to be in their hands and they have to take it to the next level. Opportunities that come our way, we'll always share with them when we have to.
Okay, so how many artists or unsung nominees are we hoping to unveil tonight?
Tonight we are unveiling 6.
Okay.
6 powerful folks who need the spotlight, who need the platform, and who need a springboard to push themselves to the next stage in their music career.
Mr. Doku, maybe we should bring you into this conversation because, again, 3 Entertainment is partnering for this particular category, which means a big deal for all of us. But just like Robert was saying, growth also depends on you individually. But as, a team, how does Unsung impact in the lives of these people that we, have been nominated and have won eventually from where you sit?
I think that it's important that we look at how to give young people and young talent opportunity to blow up, as it were. I mean, for us as a media and a company that helps to develop talent, we have done that over the years. We have shows that give opportunity to young people from infancy. So the talented kids, we've done mentor, we've done different shows over the years that give opportunity. And so it's in that light that we see the unsung category of the VGMA. And as Robert mentioned, we've seen people who have come through that and become big stars in this country. Some are taking our music to other parts of the world. And so for us, we would continue to look at what opportunities are available. And again, as you mentioned, we're trying to use our channel, especially our product called 3 Entertainment, this time to properly look at how to give a lot more vent to what will happen tonight. The young people who will be unveiled, not just within the period of the competition, but after that, what can we do to help them be able to get to the next stage? So even though we're not a record label, we are a media organization, we have a lot of time that can help develop talent. We also understand the terrain, better. And so we'll look at how to help those who may not even win. The person who will win will continue to work with them to push them forward. But even those who would just have taken part. And I believe there are even some who may not have taken part in this season's unsung category of the VGMA, but we would engage and look at how to help them expand. So that's our role in this, our responsibility. We believe that as partners of VGMA, we can help to move these young people a bit forward than where they may be before tonight.
Okay. There's a considerable competition that we thought our artists and then the individuals as well as organizations that tend to prop them up within the industry could better have had within the year. But particularly if you see the biggest competition within the sub-region, indeed the whole of the continent being Nigeria, the year under review, would you say that in the uncovering of or the unearthing of new talent, do you think we've done enough compared to Nigeria, the East Africans within Kenya? Now we have a number of them also within East Africa down to Southern Africa.
I think it must be said that Nigeria has led, the continent in many ways to different parts of the world. I mean, when you talk about Afrobeats outside of Africa, the first name that comes to mind is Nigeria. And so we've seen that over the years, over the last few years, in fact, if we could say over the last 5 years, the number of young artists that have come out of Nigeria that are impacting the world, so many of them, you can't even mention so many names. But I think on our own as well, our young people have done so well. In the year under review, and I'm sure when the nominations are revealed tomorrow, we'll see a lot of work that some of our young people have done in the past 1 year. If you don't cast your mind back, you think that, somebody was telling me earlier, I don't think that the artists did well in 2022. I said, you need to look at the numbers to see that a lot of them did well. I mean, we have young people who maybe based on collaborations and other things that they did, took their music to the next level. One of the biggest artists that came out of Africa last year, I believe, would be Black Sheriff. Yeah. We also know the work that we also know the work that Camido also did.
Yes,
we know what Kelvin Boy did. I mean, our young people have been doing a lot as well. Yeah. But the numbers are bigger when it comes to Nigeria. But I believe that we will continue to work. We need to put structures that will help. There have been a lot of complaints from the young people about the lack of support, especially from the industry. And I think that we need to sit and look at how we can support. They say the Nigerians help themselves. They push each other. They support each other to grow. And we need to look at how we can also, as an industry, help the young people. For us as media, we've given that opportunity. I mean, on New Day, on Showbiz 360,
Yes.
on all the programs we have, from Onuya to even the other media, have done their part in making sure that we give opportunity to our artists, not only the older ones, but even the young ones. And I believe if we continue like that, or even be a bit more robust about it and a bit more deliberate about how to support, just as we have with the unsung category, I believe we can help push our artists there. So the talent is there. It needs a bit more support. And I think with that kind of support coming from the industry, from the Ministry of Creative Arts, I think there must be a plan on how to support these young people to push their music forward, and we can get there.
If I may quickly add to this. So industry effort is always needed. The VGMA platform really has its own mandate and where it actually ends. So you realize that what we are able to do in terms of extra value for Unsung is connected to the kind of relationships we are able to have, or the partnerships that we are able to have. So the extra benefits we are giving them now is because we have some relationship with 3 Entertainment. Sorry. So right now, the thing here is, if you're out there in the industry and you have something worthwhile, worth giving, you can reach out to the various parties, and then we'll be able to, together plan something that's, concrete, and be able to put these young ones on a bigger pedestal. So at the end of the day, they can get to where they're supposed to get to.
And that's why I'm so excited about this year's partnership with 3 Entertainment, because beyond the unveiling tonight, we're also going to be, with 3 Entertainment, powered by 3 Entertainment, going to be going spotlight on the VGMA Unsung Artists. So throughout the next few weeks, we'll be spotlighting the VGMA Unsung Artists, powered by 3 Entertainment on TV3 and 3 FM.
Now let's do a review. Let's go back to the VGMAs over the years. This will be the 24th edition of the VGMAs. And so you've come a long way, as a team, as an academy, as a music industry. And it has come with the good, the bad, and the ugly all together. I remember when you took over as PRO, that was in around 2020 or so.
Yeah, 2020.
You said you were ready for all that it came with. Now, looking forward to what has been done this year, I just want us to look at some of the difficulties, the challenges that you faced as a team, and how you hope to surmount it as you embark on a new journey this year.
Well, I think that the biggest challenge we had was the COVID era.
Yeah.
The VGMA is being run by an institution, so clearly one person doesn't do everything. So me taking over, I still needed to learn the ropes. There were things I needed to learn from music business itself. There were things I needed to learn about the award scheme itself. I needed to also understand the industry. There are people out there who just want to be able to mess you up, or some people who are just doing things for fun, and they would take you through different angles. And there were people I needed to rely on heavily. Mr. Doku is here. There were, so you needed all of these elements, in addition to the fact that you needed to also understand the world when it comes to award schemes, what they do, what they don't do, so you can get best practices globally, and then that would inform some of the decisions you actually make locally. So those things, yes, we had to be able to do that. So I was basically learning the ropes and trying to get there. But then again, all the elements of the institutions were working, so I was able to lean on in order to be able to also lead. The biggest challenge we had was COVID, as mentioned, and I'm just grateful that we had decision makers with insight and foresight who were able to help us carve something that was befitting for that particular moment. That particular moment birthed new ideas and projects. It was during that era we had 2 days of VGMA to be able to make up for we not having Nominees Jam. The following year, we still had the Nominees Jam, but in a different way, live on TV3, and it was, broadcast nationwide. And we still had 2 nights. And that also pushed us to cut down on the duration of the VGMA, which also means the cut down of performance slots. And, so quite a number of things happened. So it was negative, but we worked around and created a positive around it. And eventually, we've been able to get to what we've gotten to. There were things that were on the table that we were delaying in executing, but we were forced to execute them around that particular time. And I must say that it's together, including people like you, everybody who played a part, mounted a stage to MC, to help with light, technical production, etc. Partners like TV3 and KPMG, everybody played a role. And at the end of the day, we have what we have. So the situation around that era coming out has been tough. But I must say that together we were able to make decisions that have brought us this far. So we are grateful. We can only thank God and hope for better things, coming years.
Have there been challenges in defining the categories and also who gets into one category or the other? Because there are times when someone is nominated, and a great example last year, Joe Mettle, Artist of the Year, and everybody was wondering, how come he even got nominated in that category? He came out himself and said that he didn't even know that his manager had filed.
Yeah.
So it was his manager who actually filed for him to be nominated for Artist of the Year, and he got that nomination. But even beyond that, there are other categories where people are wondering, I think this person should have been here, this person should have been here. How come this person was here when another person should have been there? It's always quite chaotic when the nominees' announcements come. And a lot of people also enjoy it because they're happy that they got nominated. How do you define the categories? And in defining them, how do you then know that, okay, this person has worked hard enough to be nominated in this category or that category?
Okay, so there are operational definitions that the board uses in working out who goes well, who's supposed to be in a particular category, or the definition of genres.
Yeah.
And every year, where the board is still monitoring what's happening within the music space, because the artists are always experimenting. They are picking things from genre A and mixing with genre B, and they are doing stuff. Somebody will give you some, let's say, dance hall vibe on Afro pop, music, and then the question is, where does it go? Does it go to dance hall, or so that at the end of the day you have to make a decision. So you can argue it out that it should be here, it should be there, but at the end of the day, the wisdom of the board is what we work with. If the board says X, we're going to work with that, So yeah, you always have that. And just like you're saying, somebody say, you have people who are arguing in the public that this person shouldn't win. No, this person did that. That kind of argument, it goes on in the boardroom.
Oh, it does?
Oh, the same thing.
Oh,
So it's more or less like the thing has been mirrored. Yeah, so, but at the end of the day, you do the back and forth, and then eventually a decision is made. Once they arrive at that particular decision, that's it. Everybody runs with it. So it's normal. The arguments are normal. And as a matter of fact, from tonight, we are going to start something new.
Okay.
Yeah, we are going to have the public to tell us who they think should win and why. And justify.
Wait, who they think should win? We haven't even
Let's say,
released the nominees
who
yet.
they think should be nominated. So for
Okay.
example, if you say Artist of the Year, argue it out on your own.
But that's the thing. They
Yeah,
could
we are going
argue,
to
but at the end
allow
of the day,
you-
you have made a decision as a board on who gets nominated.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Are you saying that it's going to be a replica of what happens in America, where we have, as far as the sub awards for the Oscars are concerned, you have the ones also by the press, and then they also tend to have and the critics, etc., and that forms the global awards, and subsequently then you have the main Oscars by the industry people, the academy itself, but of course the globe one then becomes a public one. You're having two awards, or it's just for the conversation?
Well, first of all, for the conversation.
Okay.
And whatever is going to come out of that in the future,
Right.
we are yet to see. But when we start something, we always like to
All
monitor
right.
and see what is the effect
But you're not giving awards.
we are not
You
giving
just want
awards.
to generate conversation.
We just want to be able
Generate
to
conversation.
generate conversation.
I'm hoping that will not influence the board.
Who knows?
But Mr. Doku, you have flirted with the board, with the industry for a very long time. I mean, just in that loose term. Now, of course, you're here. You're also helping in the partnership. Would you say the influences we've had on our music, for example, I think Bella and I were talking yesterday or 2 days ago, where Kamido is sometimes misconstrued to be a
Right,
Nigerian
to be
artist.
Nigerian.
You know, for example. So if you look at the year under review, the influences, are they normal within a journey of an industry? And will we continue to see some of these influences? Are they good that we have them, etc.?
Yeah, I think so. But first, before I come to that, I just want to
You wanted
also
to
say
also
that,
add
yeah,
something
that,
too.
and I'm still a member of the board. Anyway,
Sorry. Sorry for reducing your position in the industry.
So the point has to be said that everywhere in the world where awards are made, there's always people who have different views on when lists are released. There are times when you look at a particular category and the people there, nominees, you say, okay, this is it. But there are times also when you say, okay, maybe I think this person should be there, this other person shouldn't be there. I remember when Omarion wasn't nominated in the Grammys, it was like mental health
That'll be
issue for
around
him.
2010, 2010, thereabout, or something like that. Oh, like
You know,
12, 13
it
years
it was difficult for him because he had been off for a long time, came back with a banger, and had hoped that he would be nominated, and he wasn't. It was big
5
issue.
years.
And so many other people. I remember 2-3 years ago when the Oscars were
Yes.
slammed by the black community that it's Oscar so white, and all that. So it happens. Even in Nigeria, when they release their headies, nominations, there are issues around that. And the VGMA has gone through that for a very long time. I think people have had genuine reasons why they have had reasons with some nominations, why somebody is not here, why they themselves are not in a certain category and all that. But there's also been people who are deliberately out there to slam the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards. Even if they don't have issue, they would have to create issues. There are those people. There are the genuine ones, and there are. And so the VGMA had to contend with that, and it has for 24 years. I think there have been evolution of how the process is done. Having been on the board before, got off, came back, and all. There's been evolution of how, and as Robert said, it's becoming a bit more scientific in determining who is in which category, because now you have data. Previously you work with a lot of experience in the industry, knowing things and all
More
that. But
observational.
now, more
How
observation,
many shows you have to monitor
and
them.
all
They are
that.
not
But now
scientific.
there's some data. The streaming platforms have created instant data. The monitoring of radio and television platform have created data opportunities to be used in assessing what. But even then, there's still some level of, okay, can we add this, and all that. So as much as science helps to, there will still be, those issues about, I think that this should have been. Sometimes you argue and then they'll open the number of, streams for one music and you go, wow, this song had millions of views in a particular year. So it's evolving, and I believe it will continue to evolve, but it's still a human institution. And so I just hope that people would get to understand that we would continue to improve on the way that things are, people are selected, songs are selected, but maybe just to get ahead of
Him.
of Robert,
Okay.
and say that the sport is also considering that, because there's too many issues about what do you call it, genre artist categories.
Yes.
Gospel, dancehall. Who is an Afrobeat artist, for
Yes.
instance?
Yeah. How do you classify,
how do you
Black
classify
Sherry, for
that? Somebody
example?
could have done reggae last year. Today he did Afro. Because, again, as Robert said, the artists are trying different. They're
Different
experimenting
styles,
with
yeah.
different genres.
Yeah.
Kiri might be doing the song that won him Song of the Year last year was a dancehall
Yeah.
song. But is he a dancehall artist?
Yeah.
So the VGMA board is considering that. Maybe we should just put Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
Then we know that everybody fought for that one prize, and then there will be different category
Wait,
genres.
sorry, but are you saying that there's a likelihood that in the future we're going to scrap maybe gospel artists?
There's a likelihood that
rap-
from the next VGMA we'll scrap that.
Oh,
There's a
wow.
likelihood if the decision is made.
Is that
Yeah.
not going to cause an uproar? Because I
Yeah.
think that, especially for the gospel fraternity, even beyond
Robert,
just gospel
am I
artists of the
overstepping
year.
my bounds?
No, I mean, it's good that this conversation came up, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that moving forward, people are also going to discuss it. The gospel fraternity, especially, they've complained for quite a long time, and I know you're not new to this, about even the limited number of categories that
Yes.
they have, because they feel like there are also different
No,
levels to
no,
even
no,
gospel
no.
music.
I can see what the headlines are going to read.
Oh, they-
No,
What
Yeah,
he
I can't
said,
see.
wait,
What are you seeing?
What he is saying is artist category, and the gospel he mentioned was just an example.
An example.
And I'm also
So it
just
could be
citing an
dancehall,
example.
reggae dancehall.
I mean, there's hip life artist of the year, there's high life artist of the year.
What they say, gospel, they are taking out gospel.
No. We're talking about all the categories that have artists.
So that's that possibility of all the genre, artist categories, so that we look at those that are challenge from the perspective of everybody. So if you say you are good, let's all compete for that one category that
Wow.
we're all in. Because if you take the other music awards like the Grammys, they don't have that specific
Yeah.
artist category.
Yeah.
It's albums, it's record, it's the big ones. So I think those are things that are being discussed, and if it become necessary, will be implemented. But let
So
me.
since Francis have let the cat out of the bag,
Okay,
let me just
yeah.
summarize it by saying that there's going to be a huge,
Tweak.
tweak to the award scheme. Likely huge tweak. Likely huge tweak to the award scheme.
That
After this particular edition.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
After this edition.
After this edition.
But you've already started making changes because I think that even Group of the Year, as at last year.
Oh no, those are operational. Like there are rules to how we run.
Okay.
So if at the end of the day a particular category is seen not to be
not strong
competitive
enough,
enough, so those are like rules that we use.
So is that the reason why there was no nomination for Group of the Year as at last year?
because it wasn't. We didn't have. You see, because Group of the Year also can go in for Artist of the Year.
Yeah.
Exactly. They are not exempt. Like
Exactly.
the opportunity exists because that's why R&B,
R2Bs.
R2B, VIP, and co. They have all won that particular category. So when we don't have enough groups to make it competitive enough, then as per the rules, that particular category will be given the rest.
So maybe I should answer Roland's
Yes.
question
Ah,
now.
oh, yes.
I think Roland, that's a very, very, very good question because again, our artists, our young artists, are trying new things.
Yes.
So in the past, you could have somebody, this person is a high life artist, this is a reggae artist. They only sing reggae. They have the bandstand, they play, and all that. But these young people are trying different things. So you may perceive one to be this today, tomorrow is that. And I think that we don't have to try to typecast them into a certain situation. We need to give them that room to be able to do what they can. Camido, again, as you mentioned, has taken us very far. Many people outside of Ghana would not know he's Ghanaian until they are told that he is. There was a South African lady on TikTok who looked at Wendy Shea's song, was playing with the Shea's song, I'm Survivor, and said that it's Nigerian and all that.
Yes.
I mean, later she had to come and correct it and all that. But it is because of the opportunities that the internet gives, the apps that help to promote music, take out people to very far fields. I mean, there was this young man, Gambian, who sang recently. A lot of people thought he was Nigerian. The guy who sang I Want Nak.
Yes.
Is this Sierra Leonean also? Many people thought he's Nigerian, and because his song sounded, like that.
Even
and
me.
so, yeah.
Oh, you also thought so?
Yeah, so those things will come.
Yeah.
But I think it even helps for us to see how our young people take the music far and help to develop our countries. Because if you go out there, the biggest, as I said, thing is that Afrobeat is Nigerian. But it's a contribution from even our
Yes.
people here who have helped for that too. So we need to also take our flowers, in the space.
But is it because we have failed to create an identity for ourselves as Ghanaian artists? And so even when you listen, and yesterday there was a new one that we played, I think, from Kamido or so, and you could still feel the Nigerian element sort of in there. So it seems as if for a lot of artists, they feel like everybody's focused on Nigeria and their kind of music. Let's try and emulate them a bit so that we can also get our music to go far. But we could also create an identity for ourselves as Ghanaians and use that to push the agenda of Ghana music.
They say before Fela would go and start Afrobeat, he came to Ghana,
Yes.
to learn.
Yeah.
It may be true or not, but
is actually
Ghana's music had influence on African music, West African music for that matter. High Life has gone as far as Cameroon, Nigeria, and many other places. I think there's nothing wrong in trying to learn from each other, but the fact has to be that we can collaborate and take it further. Those collaborations have to happen between us and Nigerians and Kenyans, and all over Africa. I mean, Africa shouldn't be seen as divisive. We should be seen as one, trying to sell everything we have. In the industry of tourism, for instance, the conversation is about how to sell Africa as a destination than selling Botswana, Ghana, South Africa, and all that. If somebody is traveling from, say, US and coming to Africa, how can he spend, across different markets? What are the bottlenecks that can be removed for them to cross different markets within a particular travel space? Same way, I think music needs also to be looked at from the perspective of how do we brand ourselves as Africans and sell us. There may be differentiations in the genres. There may be differentiation in how it is presented, but we're all selling together Africa as one. I believe that would help us be able to go far.
Let me quickly add to
Yeah.
that. You see, a while back, okay, so let's just say hip hop started from the Bronx, so New York, East Coast. But there were people in the West Coast who were doing it eventually,
Yes.
right? And at some particular point, whenever you heard hip hop from the West, you would know that this one is from the West. But the generations that came after, experimenting. So at the end of the day, once you grow up listening to or inundated or immersed in music from all the areas, at what you create becomes a fusion, and that's what basically our people are doing. So there's nothing wrong if today you sound like you're coming from the West, let's say Ghana, and then
Right.
tomorrow you're coming from the East, let's say Nigeria. At the end of the day, it's all Afrobeats. So let's just project Because hip hop is hip hop to us. They are not fighting about it.
Okay.
Let's just project what we have and make our contributions, and that's it.
Now, let me bring in this angle of digital and how that has sort of amended maybe how the discussion was from the board through to organizer side. Because right now, with the increased influence of apps such as TikTok and all these other social media apps that have sort of propagated the music in a different way, were those factors brought into consideration, especially in considering who will be nominated tomorrow? Francis?
That's my question.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I mean, I think we'll be very ignorant to think that the presence of digital is not influencing
Yeah.
music. It is. And so what the VGMA has done over the years is to look at how to incorporate, some of those things into how a song or an artist is chosen. There's some song that will probably not hear much on radio.
Right.
But when you go into the digital space, it's earning lots of numbers in terms of listenership and then also revenue for the artist. So we are trying to incorporate some of those into how a song or an artist is selected. But that said, it is still a human institution. That's why you assemble people with experience with different backgrounds, from music producers, because you also have to listen to the music, listen to the album, and observe what a person have done over the year, the period of the year, from 1st January to 31st December, and know that they are still in the space. So yes, there's a huge reliance on digital, the platforms, the DPS, and also all other things that are related to digital. But again, also with a lot of insight, intelligence, and knowledge on the space to help, choose who is in which category and what song is in which category.
Quickly, all of these things are always done with local insights, because culture has a role to play when it comes to these things.
True.
Yeah, so you have people on social media, yes. Currently, 9 million people on social media who are active, thereabouts. It doesn't represent the entire 32 million people in the country. There are people whose songs are big but are not being streamed. You need to be able to tap that and then add that. So in terms of the streets, pubs, weddings, etc., they are big, but you don't really find them on the streaming platforms being big. So you have to be able to combine all of these elements to be able to make a decision. That's why it's not just, like you mentioned, you are being scientific, but there are certain areas that you also have to add some other elements like dipstick, research to be able to be clear on who deserves to be nominated. So yeah, all of these things are factored, and that's how we get to where we get to.
For you, COVID came in, and I think from 2021, it's supposed to have been a recovery. The last year, especially from the last quarter, hasn't been good for the marketing side, because the corporate institutions, the banks, etc., have been so much exposed to the so-called crisis we have currently. How, based on your observation as organizers, affected the artists, and for you as organizers also affected you on the marketing side in terms of getting...
Yeah,
The
money,
revenue.
right? Yeah.
The monetization
Because I know, I haven't worked in corporate, no company or entity keeps money in the bank. They collect the money, it's on the P&L statements, all the same, but it's going to some investment somewhere.
Very, very valid question. And that is why I have to begin this particular answer by saying a big thank you to Vodafone Ghana for having been with us consistently over these years and still with us, because indeed, backbone to the whole project, and it's been tough, very, very tough. So contributions so we've had to put in over and over again. So it's not just Vodafone, but we put in from our ends, and then we keep looking for the money, and we keep reaching out for partners, sometimes international where necessary, because that's the only way to be able to make this happen. In simple terms, very tough. I don't know how else to say, because the economy itself.
Yeah.
Look, things are just funny.
Yeah.
You fight to get to a particular point. You think things are working out, and then your city says, "Hey," and then everything that you were going to pay, let's say, 50% X amount of money for, you now have to pay times 2. And it just throws everything off gear. So we do adjustments where we need to do, because the VGMA is a living scheme, so you always have to adjust with the times. But yeah, it's been a tough.
Let me pose that to you, because you're on both sides of the industry,
Yeah.
as well as even observing as a critic, and collaborating with people outside. So you play like some quadruple roles.
Yeah, quadruple.
Yeah. You're watching the numbers on your business,
Yeah,
and you're
absolutely.
playing your expertise role in the industry, and you're watching what the unscientific, qualitative things are.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, let's first put it that even
Because it affects what you give the artist too.
It does. Yeah,
Or
but
they'll
let's
get.
look at it from the point that even getting sponsorship, first of all, for an entertainment event is tough in itself already.
Yes.
Before
All these.
the pandemic, will come and all that. So it's very tough. And it is why you want to commend Charterhouse, especially, that they've been able to keep this going for so long.
Yes.
Because along the way, several of such awards have come up along the way. Several of such. There was a time that I even did an awards.
Yourself?
Yes.
What was it called? Mr. Davis?
Breakaway award.
It was called MPEG.
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 It was Popular Entertainment.
Okay, how many seasons did it run?
It ran for one season.
What is that season? You didn't resurrect the next time.
One hit wonder.
The same year, George P. ran for your wife.
You
So he
see.
came back 10 years later.
You see.
Anyway, so
You just had to throw the shade.
Yeah. So that's the reality.
no, that's the reality.
So when
it
is it going to be your 10th year?
Oh, it's 12 years now. So it is tough. And so it is commendable that in such an environment, Charter has been able to sustain this particular scheme for so long. It is also must be said again that the sponsors who have come out, over the years there have been different sponsors, but Vodafone has been on for this long. I think it's commendable that. And there have been others that have also supported in different ways. And I think that the industry must be made a bit more attractive. There's too many bickering sometimes within the music fraternity that puts off, potential sponsors. That aside, I think that COVID has been very difficult. And so it is good that schemes like Vodafone Ghana Music Award is still there to support young artists when we talk about the unsung, even give opportunity for bigger artists to perform on the night. And it must be said that after all the things that people say about VGMA, it is a night that every musician looks forward to. Sometimes when musicians are not nominated, they have a lot of issues. Some even go to the extent of having mental health issues.
Yeah.
So it goes to say how important the VGMA in the scheme of things. And I think we all need to look at how to support it. It is why we think as a platform that it is good enough for us to have it on to engage our viewers, our listeners, and have all these opportunities that bring to your homes on a night that is the biggest night of entertainment in Ghana.
So when we say
Absolutely.
for the love of music, really.
It truly is for the love of music.
Funny thing, 2020, no gates in terms of ticket sales, right?
Yeah.
And we had 2 events. 2021, again, no ticket sales. And we had 2 events. It's all investments.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the money. It was really about the love.
And you recouped it in 2022.
2022, that was last year. It was
Limited
we
tickets.
it was just
Just a
left
fraction.
out, just a fraction, because again, people were now warming to
Up, yeah.
warming up to the entire
Market.
I'm going
Yeah.
out experience and stuff like that. So Let's see what happens this year.
But speaking of this year, tomorrow we have the big nominees announcement. It will be live throughout the day. We'll be having periodic announcements of the various categories live on 3FM 92.7 and as well live on TV3. But in the evening, starting from 7 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7, we'll be doing pre-discussions. We'll all be on the ground as well, bringing you live on our streaming platforms and as well on radio. And at 9 p.m. live on TV3, the main show begins. Live on that stage, we'll have the nominees all put out there for the world to see. How many categories are going to be announced tomorrow, Robert?
Tomorrow, let me say over 20.
Over
Wow.
20, okay.
Yeah, over 20 in total, over 20.
25.
Has there been a reduction from last year?
Oh no, I mean like it's not. There's no reduction. As in like the number of categories.
Yes.
Let me give you that information tomorrow. Because tomorrow, when the announcements are done and when we are speaking, we'll speak to the specificity of the
Okay.
whole project. So, we'll
So
give
there won't
it-
be group of the year. Or we should wait till tomorrow.
Thank you.
No, but I mean, speaking on the platform that we're on, we can say that it hasn't been reduced.
Okay.
I can say that it hasn't been reduced.
Okay.
And if there'll be any reduction or increase, it will be after this one. As I mentioned,
After.
some of the categories will be looked at.
We're going to see the
you
changes
know.
after this.
Possibly, yes, possibly. So I believe as
Mr.
has
Duku, the way I
been-
like to keep something.
You know,
I like to
No, we have a board member, two board members. No,
suspense.
no, but that's the whole idea.
But
It
we
hasn't
want
been
to whet
reduced, but we're
people's
still
appetite.
looking
Say
forward
again?
to who gets nominated.
We want to whet people's appetite too.
Okay.
We want
sorry,
to
I
get
hear
them
you.
wet.
Yeah, but I think I
Sorry,
think
whet
that's
their appetite.
as AJ said. I mean, one of the things that we have done over the years is to look at how to keep the audience tuned to our stations throughout the day.
Right.
For announcement of nominations for VGMA. So we'll start at 11 tomorrow and announce the first set of categories. Then just before the midday news, we announce the next set. Then at 1, we announce the next set, 2, 3 to 4 p.m. And then I will wait till the evening when we release the big ones.
Do we know which categories we're announcing ahead?
Robert won't say, I'm
Quite
sure.
a number of them. So
Robert, no.
would say.
I didn't
No.
ask how many.
No.
I said, do we know which ones?
We have to
yeah,
wait.
we know.
So tell
I
us.
know.
You tell us.
Okay, what's the first one
Yeah,
that
at
will be
least.
announced
Okay, let me tell you what's going to be announced.
at 11?
No, in the evening.
Okay.
The evening is going to be the big 5.
Okay.
Okay.
The big 5, okay.
Yeah, the big 5 of the award scheme. So we have the new artist of the year.
Okay.
We have the record of the year.
Okay.
We have the album.
Wow.
We have the most popular song. And then
And
we
the
have
artist.
artist of the year.
Okay.
Wow.
The big
So the rest
5.
to be announced throughout the day.
Throughout the day.
Throughout the day.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
So
we're looking
live
forward
on
to it, actually.
3FM and live
Yeah.
on TV3.
And on
Really?
our
Streaming social media platforms and on tour. We'll be streaming live in the evening as well on 3FM, on Facebook and YouTube as well, on TV3, on YouTube and Twitter, and as well we'll be giving you all the live updates, of course, on our Instagram, all the red carpet, everything else inclusive. It'll be exciting.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think we'll wrap up the conversation at this point. Robert, thank you. Do you have any revelations for us before you go?
Yeah. Chapter 2, verse 16.
That's smart. Thank you so much. Robert Clark is the director for Vodafone Ghana Music Awards. He's also the head public events and communications for Charterhouse. And Don D. Doku is the general manager for Three Group, Papa Doku. And again,
yeah,
And a
I,
we
member
wear many
of
hats.
the
A member,
VGMA
exactly.
Board as well.
I just want to also say that, I mean, last Saturday, as I mentioned, I was in Tamale to
Yeah.
support Taya for the launch of her project. She's picked something that is very important, very pertinent to the people of the North. She thinks that there's opportunity to help young people who travel all the way down south for jobs like Kaya, and other menial jobs, expose themselves to, many things that happen to them. So she's trying to train people and see how they can remain in the North. Or even if later they want to come down south, they would at least have some
Yeah.
skill that they can rely on so they're not exposed to the things. So I think it's a very good project, and I hope that everybody who can will support her to be able to bring that to fruition.
All right, thank you so much. And Taya is around, and so I'm sure at one point, of course, because today the spotlight is on the northern regions, we'll have her join us this morning to tell us a lot more about her projects and teach us one or two things about her region. But this is where we wrap up the conversation for now on Big Issue. The 3 Entertainment team has put together a story on the unsung category, previous winners, and of course, expectations. They went around to ask people who they think will be nominated in the unsung category. And remember that tonight on Showbiz 360 with Giovanni Caleb, we will be officially announcing the unsung nominees, and they will be in the studios as well. So look forward to that. It's going to be an exclusive party. Thank you so much for joining us. Take a look at that story, and when we get back, we'll do some singing and dancing and some eating. I've been eyeing this table for quite a while. And we'll have sports coming your way. Christian Achu has been laid in state, and so we'll go back there to the State House to get some more updates on that. Keep watching. We'll be back.